Hello, my name is Gosia Gawęcka. Today I'm going to walk you through 6 of the most influential reflective practice models. What's striking is how each one builds on the last, adding something the previous model missed. Kolb gave us the structure, Boud added emotions, Gibbs combined the two. Fish took us deeper beneath the surface. Jones brought mindfulness and guided reflection, and O'Toole writing more reflection, practical, relational, and action driven. Each model asks the same question: how do we learn from experience? But each one answers it differently. And that evolution tells its own story about what we value in professional development. David Kolb proposed that learning isn't a one time event, it's a continuous cycle driven by experience. And true learning requires moving through all 4 stages. First, concrete experience. You do something, a situation, a project, a challenge you faced. Second, reflective observation. You step back and reflect. What happened? What did you notice? What were others' reactions? Third, abstract conceptualization. You make sense of it, you develop ideas, draw connections, form generalizations. What did this teach you? And stage 4, active experimentation. You apply it. You take what you have learned and try something new next time. Kolb argued that effective learners don't stay stuck in one stage. They cycle through all 4 stages. Top companies operationalize Kolb's cycle every day. Google runs sprint retrospectives after every product release. Experience, reflect, conceptualize, experiment, then the next sprint starts. Kolb gave us the structure, but he missed something important. What about the feelings? Boud and colleagues placed emotions at the center of reflection. Their argument was bold. Feelings, both positive and negative, profoundly shape our ability to learn from experience. The model has 3 stages. First, return to the experience, recollect what happened as objectively as possible without judgment. Second, attend to feelings. You examine your emotional response, acknowledging positive feelings about what went well, but also identifying negative emotions like anxiety, frustration, and embarrassment, and processing them so they don't block your learning. Third, re-evaluate the experience. Now revisit it with emotional clarity. Connect new insights to what you already know, integrate them into your existing understanding, and decide what to take forward. The key insight here is that unresolved negative emotions prevent genuine reflection. You must process feelings before you can learn effectively. Google's Project Aristotle found that psychological safety, the condition that lets people attend to uncomfortable feelings without fear, was the number one predictor of team performance. Delimitation. It requires psychological safety to work. So Boud said, process your emotions first. The next model by Gibbs provides the step-by-step structure to process emotions. Gibbs developed one of the most widely used reflection frameworks. Its structured step-by-step format makes it accessible for beginners and professionals alike. 6 stages. Stage 1, description. What happened? State the facts clearly, no interpretation yet. Stage 2, feelings. What were you thinking and feeling before, during, and after? Be honest. 3. Evaluation. What was good and bad about the experience? Identify specific positives and negatives. Stage 4. Analysis. What sense can you make of this? Draw on theory, prior experience, feedback. Why did things go the way they did? And stage 5. Conclusion. What else could you have done? What have you learned? What skills or knowledge do you need now? And stage 6, action plan. If this arose again, what would you do? Set specific intentions for future practice. The cycle is designed to be repeated. Each time you revisit an area of practice, you deepen your understanding. Apple's design process under Steve Jobs required every prototype cycle to pass through this structure. What worked, what failed, and why, and what the next version must do differently. The limitation. Rushed stages produce surface level reflection. Gibbs gives you a complete process, but Fish and colleagues asked a harder question. What if the problem isn't your process, it's your assumptions? Fish and colleagues developed this model primarily in healthcare education. It moves beyond narrative reflection to examine the deeper values, assumptions, and theories that shape practice. 4 strands. First, the factual strand. What happened, describe the events, actions, and observable behaviors as accurately as possible. This is your raw data. Second, the retrospective strand. Looking back, what do you now notice? Patterns, turning points, critical moments you may not have been aware of at the time. Third, the substratum strand. What beliefs, values, and assumptions were operating beneath the surface? This is the deepest level, examining the invisible frameworks that guide your actions. The fourth strand, the connective strand. How does this experience connect to broader professional knowledge, theory, and ethics? What does it tell you about your professional development? The key insight is that surface reflection without substratum analysis keeps you trapped in your current assumptions. Real growth requires examining why you believe what you believe. This plays out in top organizations. Microsoft's transformation under Nadella began with a substratum insight, recognizing that the company's core assumption, we win by making others lose, was itself the problem. Challenging that hidden belief unlocked the entire cultural shift. The limitation. It requires courage to challenge deeply held beliefs. Fish takes you beneath the surface. Jones hands you a guide, a set of questions to walk you through that deep strand deliberately. Jones uses reflective questions to guide you through 5 layers of insight. 1. Describe the situation. What I was trying to achieve. How did I act as I did? What were the consequences for myself and others? 2. Reflect inward. How did I feel and why? How did others feel and do I know? 3. Reflect outward. What knowledge informed or should have informed me? To what extent did I act for the best? 4. Consider alternatives. What other choices did I have? What would the consequences of those choices have been? And 5. Learning. How do I feel about this experience now? How has it changed my ways of knowing and being? How has it developed my practice? Jones emphasizes that reflection is not merely cognitive, it is an act of being present to oneself and one's practice. He draws on mindfulness, aesthetics, and ethics. Microsoft uses Jones style guided questions in executive coaching, moving leaders from describing situations to examining what knowledge they lacked. The limitation. The volume of questions can feel overwhelming. It's best used with a reflective supervisor or mentor. Jones makes reflection personal and mindful. O'Toole, writing in 2024, takes it further. Reflection isn't just personal, it's political, it's relational, and it demands action. O'Toole's model responds to the contemporary demands of professional life, digital complexity, ethical uncertainty, and the need for adaptive relational practice. 5 dimensions. 1. Experience and context. Grant the reflection in the specific experience and its broader context. Who was involved? What social, cultural, and institutional dynamics were at play? 2. Emotional. Honesty. Acknowledge your full emotional response. O'Toole argues that professional culture often discourages emotional expression, which creates disconnected and inauthentic practice. Name the feeling, don't suppress it. 3. Critical interrogation. Question your assumptions, biases, and the system that shaped the situation. Whose voice was absent? What narratives were privileged? 4. Relational learning. Reflect on the relationships within the experience between yourself and others, between self and institution, between theory and practice. 5. Transformative action. Commit to specific values-driven change. O'Toole emphasizes that reflection without action is incomplete. The outcome should be renewed ethical commitment and a concrete change in behavior. The key insight is that O'Toole positions reflection as an inherently political and relational act. Reflecting well is an ethical obligation to those we serve. The limitation. It requires comfort with critical theory and may feel abstract without facilitation. The best practitioners draw on all models depending on the moment. Kolb for quick iteration, Boud when emotions are raw, Gibbs for complete review, Fish when assumptions need challenging, Jones for deep guided work, and O'Toole when the issue is systemic. The question isn't which model is right, it's which one do you need right now. Thank you for watching my presentation. If you want to learn more about reflective models, check out my website with courses to develop soft skills. Thank you and bye.